BBQ Central.
Start the game! Let's go!
We'll do it live. Okay. Well, do it live! I'll write it and we'll do it live!
So to get that perfect barbecue, you use wood. Are you sure it's safe? Whatever. We put the lighter fluid on, strike the match, and... Oh! Should we call the fire department? That might be a good idea.
Good evening and welcome to the really big BBQ Central show. This is the show that talks about all things that are important to the world of barbecue and grilling. This show originating from the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame city, Bomb City, USA, Cleveland, Ohio, the barbecue capital of the North Coast. I am your program host, Greg Rempe. Happy to have you aboard here on your Tuesday evenings, a live fire, fun, and frivolity show. If you would like to get in contact with the show this evening, or you would like to follow the show during off-show hours, here's how you do that.
You can get in touch with the show by sending an email to Greg at thebbqcentralshow.com. Follow us on all the social media channels at BBQ Central Show. And be sure to subscribe to the show podcast feed on your favorite podcast platform.
Anything else you want to find out about the show can be found at the main website, thebbqcentralshow.com. And here's what's happening in case you didn't get the newsletter coming up in about 12 minutes from now, because it is the second Tuesday of a brand new month. And in that first interview segment, of course, we are finding the creator of AmazingRibs.com, Meathead. We have a lot to talk about. We have some teases. We have some information to give out. We're going to take you down the path of what it is like, or how you might even find a way to get to getting your own barbecue and grilling book out into the market. Meathead, a expert in this particular portion of the industry, so we'll pick his brain about that, some other topic as well. Then we'll move 35 past the hour, where we will find a visit from monthly guest, 35 past the first hour, second Tuesday of every month. Robert Moss joins us. And the subject matter tonight with Robert is we will be exploring the competitive spirit, also the iconic figures in Southern barbecue history. We might sprinkle in some barbecue competitions, stories of legendary pitmasters, and how those rivalries and personalities have shaped the perception of Southern barbecue. And then we'll move to the second hour. Very unlikely, not usually something that has ever happened on this show, but I allowed it to happen. All second hour open. Does that mean I'm going to take it all the way through until 11 p.m. Eastern? Not necessarily. If I get done with what I want to get done with, we will just end it early. We'll call it a day. Big day tomorrow. Got to head down to Capital City, Columbus. Do some interviewing for somebody that might be my newest Southern regional sales manager. Remember, if you want to work through me or for me, it's very easy. Number one, you have to agree with my complete and total vision without fail. And you will be willing to enforce all of my policies, procedures, and standards, or you're fired.
Get that big stuff out of here.
I can't have a bunch of sales reps running around willy-nilly in Columbus and the surrounding areas, broaching north towards Route 30 where the cutoff is. I need to have somebody that is able to put deals together and, most importantly, able to develop these fine salesmen and get them to whatever station in life they want to be within the confines of Ohio Machinery, as I am now firmly setting the vision. So if you're interested in moving to Columbus and working for me, the job's open. We'll take your resumes. We'll do all that fun stuff. Anyway, that's just to say that the second hour is open, and I have some things to talk about that I don't want to tease too hard. But let's just say we'll be talking about a Hall of Fame, and it's not the guest Hall of Fame, I can tell you that much. So that's how the show is laying out tonight. You can follow me socially on Instagram, the tweeters, the ticker talks, the snapper snaps, and the LinkedIns, all at the handle at BBQ Central Show. We say good evening to those of you watching tonight through one of our video streaming platform partners, facebook.com/BBQ Central Show or twitter.com/BBQ Central Show. You can also watch the show on YouTube, which is youtube.com/@BBQ Central Show, where we have a new YouTube poll question of the week, and we're asking everybody this, including all guests. Al McAuliffe makes you want to be a cigar smoker, and currently 57% of you are saying yes, indeed he does. Actually, it just changed hands. It is now a dead tie, 50-50. Yes and no. I am shocked. I figure after that kind of an interview last week, 100% of you are interested in becoming cigar smokers if you haven't already. Results of the poll from last week. Did we get the 2024 Barbecue Central Show's Guest Hall of Fame right 2 weeks ago? And 66% of you said yes, indeed we did. So we'll start here tonight and referencing back to the great Al McAuliffe. If we might take a moment, and just a moment, and appreciate the two segments that Al McAuliffe gave to the show last week. By the way, 82 years old if you missed it. And if you didn't see him, you'd never know. Hell, even if you saw him, you wouldn't know. Sharp, interactive, engaging, endearing. And has there been anyone in recent memory that has shared a story or three better than Al? I would be hard-pressed to name one right off the top of my head. Stories aplenty. The story of the Gomez-Sanchez family rolling into town was classic. By the way, the only person that I know who has ever solicited a custom 1,200 cigar order from people he had otherwise just met literally on the street is Al McAuliffe. That story in its own right, incredible. And the fact that he put in an order for 1,200 cigars from dudes on the street. Obviously, they knew what they were doing, right? Did you miss the fact that at age 16, he was clocking $30,000 a year running a dance club in Detroit? Not just for 1 year, but for 3 years. Did you miss during that time, he purchased a few Corvettes, 16, 17, 18. Did you miss that before he moved away as a young man, Al McAuliffe left money with the family before he headed out of town? Can you imagine your 18-year-old is kicking you back a bag as he heads out to make his fortune? I couldn't imagine. Bobby leaving my house at 18 or 19 years old and chucking a bag of cash at me saying, hope this helps the fam out, about ready to go make some real money. Also, did you miss that he told his mom that as he was making all of this money at that time, $30,000 a year, he would be making that every week later on in his life? Are you kidding me? Who says that? By the way, who does that? It's no wonder that Al was able to amass his fortunes in business, doing the things he wants to do, find the sectors, that have great gross margin and capitalize on it, which led him into buying the cigar business from the Gomez Sanchez family. He sees the opportunity, but instead of helping, says, I'm going to buy this thing. You're going to work for me. By the way, don't be a thief. Don't be a bad person. Don't produce crappy cigars, and we're all going to live happily ever after. And look what it's gotten him. 8 years of being in the cigar business. He's widely respected as a leader, a businessman, a great person. By the way, the cigars they make are some of the best in the industry, hands down. So if he didn't inspire you to give his cigars a shot, I would be shocked. But if he didn't motivate you to be a better person and businessman, I'm surprised. I would be less surprised if he did motivate you to be a better person or businessman. It was a great 2 segments. I'm just happy and honored that he came on to spend that kind of time with me. Not a cigar show, not a cigar podcast, just showing up, talking about something that I'm passionate about, giving us a lot of great stories and a lot of great insight into what makes him successful. And most importantly, from my selfish cigar passion. Thank God those guys, Gomez Sanchez family, rolled into wherever they were in Texas trying to roll cigars. Super great. Cracks Country Cooking. I wasn't looking forward to the interview because I'm not into cigars, but after 2 minutes, I was locked in and could have listened to Al tell stories all night. Indeed. That's what I'm talking about. Well, I can tell you right now, we have almost hit what we call a streak in the business of guests not showing up. Last week, a no-call, no-shows, Sam the cooking guy. We are currently sitting in a box where we have a no-call, no-show Meathead. I'm looking in the box, and there is no Meathead. Well, we'll see what happens from here, I guess. Before we attempt to get to Meathead, you're seeing it here on the TV screen, video screen. The Schwank Grill. You love the Schwank Grill. What do we love about it? We love that it can get up to 1,500 degrees using infrared burner technology. What does that mean to you? You can grill juicy steaks, the best ones you have ever tasted, in as little as 3 to 4 minutes, depending on thickness. No more wasting your life away as you are cooking the proteins you want. Schwank Grills does it quickly and with great results. Morton Steakhouse, Del Frisco Steakhouse, cut 432 using Schwank Grill technology. Remember, at 1,500 degrees, you can build that delicious, juicy crust on both sides of the steak. You're not overcooking it. Incredibly juicy and flavorful. There's truly no other grill like it on the market right now. Some calling it the future of grilling. You have the drip tray benefits as well if you want. You can melt some butter in that. You can rest the proteins in a butter bath, or you can really season it up as well to add some extra layers of flavor. But it's not only a steak cooker. Delicate fish, lobster tails, chicken breasts, chicken wings, shrimp burgers, the list goes on. Great tailgate machine too, as we are in the teeth of tailgate season. But the Centralites do want a deal. They love deals. So, how about this? No promo code, no special links, no affiliates, none of that bull crap. Right now, if you go over to schwankgrill.com, SCHWANK, from now until October 17th, so till next Monday, $250 off a Schwank Grill, number one. $350 off a Schwank Grill plus modern grill table. And $508 off a Schwank Grill, a modern grill table, and a grill cover. Save $250, $350, or $508, depending on which package you put together. At a minimum, $100 more than you would normally get with the Barbecue Central Show's discount, which is $150 off the Schwenk Grill. Right now, $250 off the grill, $350 off the grill and the grill table, and $508 off the grill, the table, the large table, and the grill cover. $508 off. Let's go. Schwenkgrills.com, and no promo code needed. We are back with a blank screen. Who knows what happens from here? Stick around, be right back.
You're listening to the Barbecue Central Show. Broadcasting live from the Barbecue Central Show studios in Cleveland, Ohio. You're listening to the Barbecue Central Show. Once again, here's your host, Greg Rempe.
Hey, welcome back to the portion of the show being brought to you by cookinpellets.com, your number one source for quality wood pellets for all your pellet-driven cookers. You visit cookinpellets.com to see their products, and then go to amazon.com or walmart.com or lowes.com to purchase. Same great products, even better shipping rates. Good folks over at cookinpellets.com. So I have rifled off an email to Meathead. Cool J77 must be close personal friends with Meathead. Call him. He must have fallen asleep. I don't disagree. This has only happened a few times before, where a no-call, no-show in a previous week has somehow infected the rest and added a no-call, no-show to the subsequent week. And by the way, the funniest thing about this is that Sam, the cooking guy, am I going to be able to play these? This is going to be risky because I'm going to change the audio. I don't want my... All right. Still there. Sam, the cooking guy, made me these drops. I wasn't going to play them. It does appear that we have a time to play them. Let me make sure I'm at 100% there. So Sam went out of his way, unsolicited by me. I didn't make him do this. All of a sudden, they showed up in my text machine the other day. Here's the first one.
It's Sam the Cooking Guy, and you're listening to the Barbecue Central Show, where I recently missed my first Tuesday of the month interview with Greg. And because of it, he's making me do his laundry for the rest of the year, which I'm okay with, other than his underwear. They wear some weird shit in Cleveland. It's Sam the Cooking.
All right. And then he also did this one, in case I like this one better.
It's Sam the Cooking Guy, and what do Meathead and I have in common? Well, we've both missed our interviews with Greg and feel terrible about it. Okay, well, I did feel terrible. Now it's wearing off a bit, but I still feel bad. Well, a little bad. It's kind of going away, actually. In any case, you're listening to the Barbecue Central Show.
Who knew that Sam the Cooking Guy was such a prognosticator of prognosticators? Uh-oh. Sam was referencing the first time he missed the segment. Little did he know that this week he would be missing the segment as well. Quick review of the poll question of the week. Al McAuliffe makes you want to be a cigar smoker. 63% of you are saying no. or not. I don't understand you people. I can do without a lot, but my now growing love affair with cigars, like, what don't you like about it? I'll venture a guess. If you are part of the 63% that said no, Al McAuliffe didn't want to make you a cigar smoker, I feel like, A, you've never had a good cigar and you believe that something like a Backwoods or a Phillies Blunt or one of those flavored pieces of crap that you find in the gas station are what you consider to be cigars, and they're not. Premium hand-rolled cigars only found at your local tobacconist or online retailers like Two Guys. If you have had it and you didn't like it, it's probably because your significant other told you that you smell and you've just given up on it because you don't want to hear it. Or lastly, and maybe a combination of the first one and this one, you don't know what you're doing. So you're smoking it too fast, it's getting too hot, the tobacco's burning, or it doesn't give you the flavor that it should be because you don't know how to do it. It's a process. It is not unlike barbecue. In many ways, you can screw it up, you can go too fast, you can have off flavors. There's a host of things that can go wrong if you're not doing it right. So to that 63%, I say you probably fall in one of those three categories, if I'm guessing. But I might not be guessing. Maybe you just hate it. I doubt it. I hate everything, and I love cigars. In fact, I have an email question from Matt Brackall, who writes in, Greg, hate bothering you, but I'm curious about cigars. I used to smoke cigarettes, but have quit for 10 years now. Enjoy having bourbon, and I think I would enjoy a nice cigar with that when I unwind on the weekend. While I was at my hunt camp in South Carolina last week, a friend of mine had some Oliva cigars, and it was nice enjoying them around the grill and talking. I listened to last week's show today, and I have found myself at the McAuliffe website. They have a really nice AI tool that answers a lot of questions about getting started, but I wanted to reach out for your ideas on cigars to try. Any suggestions would be very appreciated. Thanks, Matt from Indiana, not Terry from Kentucky.
Terry?
No email from Terry. I'm shocked. Weeks and weeks of emails in, so hopefully Terry's all right. Matt is not from Kentucky. He's from Indiana. I do have some advice for you, Matt. Number one, don't listen to anybody telling you what's good or not. Ultimately, your palate is going to be the judge on what tastes good to you. What tastes good to me, you might find vile. You also might find it as delightful as I do. You had mentioned that you had smoked some Oliva cigars last weekend at your hunt camp in South Carolina. A big fan of Oliva cigars, particularly of the Oliva Melanio Serie V, which is a boxed press cigar. I like that a lot. Find that very approachable, not too strong, medium flavor, light to medium. Strength is not very high at all. I find that to be like 3 or so. They also make an Oliva Serie V, not the Melanio, but just the regular Serie V. That appears to be more of a Maduro wrapper. That one has quite a bit more strength to it. Big fan of that one. That one is in the round. It's not box press cigar like the Melanio is as well. And then, of course, all the cigars that I've ever mentioned on this show as being ones that I like, which include the McAuliffe brand of cigars. There's a number of them in their lineup. I've had the Riata. I've had, I don't remember it, and I don't have the webpage up. A huge fan of McAuliffe Black, a Nicaraguan Puro, the essence of Nicaragua, as I told Al McAuliffe. If you like something that's in that 6 or so strength range, a full flavor cigar, flavor and strength, 2 different things. Really well made, a Maduro, a Cigar of the Year for Cigar Authority podcast. Currently this year is their Cigar of the Year. It's fabulous, and it's totally affordable. $7 for a Robusto, $8 for a Toro, and only comes in those two sizes, so you don't have to worry about all those ridiculous sizes and shapes. And then if you want something a tick lighter on the strength scale, but still really nice flavor, the blue is probably where you want to be. It's got a Sumatra wrapper on it. Again, construction, the burn, everything that you're looking for in a great premium hand-rolled cigar, the blue delivers, except it's just a bit of a step down. I find it to be very nice on the drive in to work if I'm having one on the way into the office. If I do want something a little bit more robust, we'll go McAuliffe Black. So I highly recommend everything that McAuliffe has to sell. It's just price points and what you're looking for. And then also Aladino is one of my favorite manufacturers. It's a little high for everyday smoke, but the Corojo Reserva is one of my favorite all-time cigars. That one, I'm told, has quite a strength on it, maybe 6 and 7. I don't find it to be that strong. Great flavor. It's a throwback to old Cuban type cigars made with the Corojo seed there. So I'm a big fan of that. Anything Perdomo is really good. It's really, are you looking to build a flavor base? And at that point, I would go start smoking all the wrappers. So I would go Maduro wrapper. I would go broadleaf. I would go Sumatra. There's so many. And see what you like. And pay attention to what people are saying. Take their input. But ultimately, you're going to be the judge on what tastes best for you. And Matt, if you want a sample of the black and the blue in Toro, which is a great way to sample any line, then just let me know. Shoot me your address in a separate email, and I'm happy to send you out a couple samples so you can try them out, see if they're ones for you. And again, the winner of the McAuliffe is how affordable they are. So you can buy a box and not feel bad about having to get rid of one early because your plans have changed or whatever. But remember, the beauty of the cigar is not racing through it like a fiend, like cigarette smokers do. They stand out in 30 below weather and they're sucking down the cigarette and it's 7 minutes. And if you light a cigarette, it'll burn from top to bottom all the way down to the filter. And you never even have to drag on it. That will not happen with a cigar. It's made with tobacco and water. That's it. So if you light it and you don't draw on it ever, it goes out. So you can technically smoke it for hours and hours on end. But you're allotting the time to enjoy the cigar experience, number one. And then number two, because it's not addictive, a lot of people want to tell you it's addictive, but it's not, because I don't crave to have one. I don't need a fix to have a cigar. I have to have a lot of things go right in order to have a cigar. If I'm smoking cigarettes and I'm addicted, I don't need anything to go right. I'll just go outside in a monsoon or whatever because I got to get the nicotine fix. This is a cigar, a lifestyle. It's a hobby. Things got to go right. If it's too windy out, I'm not going outside. It's too windy. I don't need to do it. I want to enjoy it. That's what it's all about, Matt. So hopefully that long-winded question has given you further insight. Appreciate you writing into the show, asking me for my 2 cents. There's way smarter people out there when it comes to cigars than me. I also recommend tuning into the Cigar Authorities podcast if you haven't already. You see Mr. Jonathan here every 3 or 4 months talking about what's going on in the cigar world. So he's probably due for a visit before we close out the year here in 2024. To everybody that is on the Gulf Coast of Florida, we are sending positive vibes your way. I would sit here and say prayers, but nonsense. This is happening. If prayers worked, then the hurricane wouldn't be happening, right? We would just pray it away. Magically, it would go away. But it's coming. So I don't know what it is you do. I heard there was mandatory evacuations, but A lot of people don't evacuate. A lot of people say, hey, we're going to weather it out. It's probably not going to be that bad. Whatever. Your call. But hunker down, as they say. Hopefully you've gotten your provisions in order. And everything is hopefully going to be overblown. I know in years past, there has been times when things have gotten overblown and people have made drastic life-saving trips to get out and only to come back for very minimal damage, tree down or leaf fell off the tree and I left for that. So things I don't have to deal with here in Cleveland, 7 months of winter, yes. Hurricanes, I never have to deal with a hurricane. A bad rainstorm every now and again with some lightning, a tornado here or there, but rarely. So everybody out there on that side of the coast, I would say, please, you're going to want to take care, heed all the warnings, make sure that you are doing everything possible to put yourself in the best position to be safe and, not do anything crazy as this new hurricane, and it's like the second one in 2 weeks. Military's out there, the National Guard trying to help clear stuff before the new round of debris and wind pick up. You don't want those projectiles going around. So, get inside. I know it's supposed to come in around tomorrow night. And, man, somebody's at the door. Oh, okay. All right. Wow. Oh, well, looky here, everybody. Yes, sir.
We hear you talking about the hurricane, and I have to tell you that it's here. It's going to be coming. But don't worry. We're going to be hiding in the closet, and it won't get us because we have all of our shoes and everything with us. Who are you talking to? I'm talking to your son, Greg. He's talking about the hurricane that's coming, and he's feigning concern for everybody, but he's really mostly worried about us because here we are in our very, very extreme later years, and now we have to put up with a hurricane again. That's right. This could be a bad hurricane. We're going to take all of our ice cubes and martini glasses into the closet, and that way we can be a little numb when the hurricane finally comes, and it'll make it a little bit better to get through. So don't worry if we don't talk to you, because the cell phones are down. Remember, we didn't believe in cell phones. We didn't want them.
Get that big stuff out of here.
It would be a good idea to have gotten a burner phone or at least a computer so you can email if the cell phone signal is down. I don't know about the internet there.
What are you talking about, the internet? I don't even know how we see you. Your sister comes in here. She brings these hurricanes with her. That's right. Your sister comes all around, and here she is. Last time she was here, she brought a hurricane. This time, she's visiting, brings another hurricane. I don't get it. Maybe we should tell her, look, we love you, but never come back here again. Please think of us tomorrow and reach out early enough, and we'll update you as the hurricane comes ashore.
Please keep me up to date. Please.
All right, we will. And we say goodbye.
Wow. My parents rarely call in, but when they do, they are all about it. Look, all kidding aside, everybody that's in the way of that thing, please take whatever precautionary measures that you can take at this point. Find the safe place. Hopefully you're inland far enough where, I've heard storm surge up to 15 feet. Like, that's really high. They're further in from the coast, but geez. we'll see how it goes. Fingers crossed that somehow this thing really downgrades in the next 18 hours or so. But I haven't gotten predictions or seen weather reports to the contrary, but we can hope. All right, so Meathead has officially missed the segment. Motherfucker. That's all right. I know somebody that's not going to miss his segment, and that's Robert Moss. Now, you might be asking yourself, how can I be so sure? I see him right here. A true professional. I mean, Meathead is aged. Are you tired of settling for mediocre grilling experiences? Well, it's time to step your game up and bring the ultimate flavor and cooker to the backyard barbecues. And that's the full complement of Pits and Spits cookers. You know they got the charcoal grills. You know they got offset smokers. You know they have pellet smokers. They have what appears to be the best combo unit, where you have a offset firebox on one side, then a main cooking chamber, and then a pellet cooker hopper on the other side. You can start with offset. You can finish with wood pellets. You can start with wood pellets, and you can finish as an offset. I guess you could use both? I don't know why, but you could. Also, the brand new freestanding all stainless steel, including the griddle top griddle and gas grill, all in one. So you can take the stainless steel griddle top off, set it aside. You can put in the grill grates, not the brand grill grates, but the actual cooking grill grates. And now you have one of the most extreme BTU gas grills on the market. Did I mention that the griddle top is all stainless steel? The most elite flat top cookers out there on the market today and in commercial settings are all made of stainless steel. None of that cold rolled, untreated. Stainless, baby. That's what it's all about. If you are looking to buy a charcoal cooker and you want to save $150 off, you can go to pitsandspits.com/BBQ Central and use the promo code Charcoal Central, all one word, for $150 off any charcoal grill. But I say, search around. Look at that whole website. If you're really into offset cooking, I think they still make the Jess Pryles Offset Signature Edition. If you're a big fan of Jess, you want to support her, you want an offset cooker, I think they have that. Anywho, Robert Moss is in the green room. He's coming up next. Stick around, be right back.
You're listening to the BBQ Central Show. Howard Stern, Jim Rome, Dan Patrick, and Greg Rempe. The Mountain Rushmore of talk show entertainment. Now, let's get back to the BBQ Central Show.
All right, welcome back. This portion of the show is being brought to you by Fireboard. Makers of the Fireboard 2, Fireboard Pro, Fireboard Spark, Fireboard Beacon, and the new Fireboard Pulse. When you use the Fireboard app, you have total access to all devices anywhere in the world. Find out more by visiting fireboard.com or call 816-945-2232. Did I mention the Fireboard Pulse? Of course. Of course. My next guest is the contributing barbecue editor for Southern Living Magazine, a 2023 Barbecue Central Show's guest Hall of Famer. We welcome back our pal, Robert Moss. And yes, there he is, right there. Not a aberration.
I'm here.
Yes, that's right. That's it. Look, I mean, we have professionals And then we have Meathead that shows up every month. So last time you were on, Robert, at the tail end, you were promoting a new book or a reference material, or I don't know exactly what we're calling it, but it was all about a drink.
We call it a book.
All right.
Yeah,
book.
book.
Yeah, called the Raffignac.
Yeah, the Raffignac.
Yeah. Any update on the book itself within the last month?
No, it's still the same book, hasn't changed. It has been launched officially to market. Like I said, it's if you search in Google, please put Raffignac in quotes because it will autocorrect to roofing. So this dampening sales a little bit, but yeah, it's a small book, and it's sort of sort of interest primarily to cocktail buffs. Gotten some good reaction from cocktail buffs, but no, this was not the one I'm going to retire on. This was a lot of fun to write them.
So what's your way of making it? And the reason I ask is after we got off the show last month, I started to Google it and then went to YouTube. And it seems like it does involve fruit in more ways than just like cutting a swath of orange peel or making a lemon zest. So I immediately averted. What do you do?
Well, what do I do? That's different question between what I do and what most people make Raffignacs do. In the book, there's about 10 different recipes because it's a little unclear exactly what the original Raffignac recipe was. Almost everybody in the 21st century who's tried to create one went back to this old book from the 1930s called Famous New Orleans Drinks and How to Mix Them by Stanley Clisby Arthur. It was actually after Prohibition. He wrote this like recipe book with all these great pre-prohibition has in it. Let me get it exactly right. It's a jigger of whiskey, a pony of syrup, seltzer or soda water to taste, and raspberry syrup. So a jigger, if you know the double-ended cocktail cup, like a jigger, an ounce and a half. Pony is the small one. That's an ounce. So an ounce and a half of whiskey, an ounce of syrup or simple syrup, that is not maple syrup, a little bit splash of soda water, and then raspberry syrup. And so it's starting. Everybody's put raspberries in their Raffignac and whiskey. Some people have said, well, actually, back in the 19th century, they probably would have used cognac, rye whiskey, not bourbon. They've tried those other things. My is that this is a terrible drink if you make it with any kind of aged liquor like whiskey or cognac. Some of that raspberry does not go well with it. It's not a great flavor. So when I make a Raffignac, and this is actually based on the way Neil Bodenheimer, who runs a great bar in New Orleans called Cure, has made a lot of different variations. He's made a tequila variation that's really, really tasty, or an unaged eau de vie, like unaged brandy. So you should make it with something that's not aged, not barrel aged, because the flavors just don't work. And actually, historically speaking, and if you want to learn more about that, read the book. But historically speaking, the whiskey it was made with originally would not have been barrel aged. So it would have been hot, off the still corn whiskey, much more like tequila than like bourbon or something like that.
Like moonshine?
And much like moonshine. If you get some white whiskey, the legal moonshine that they're selling these days, it's much, much better than aged whiskey if you make it with this raspberry syrup.
Because of the wood?
Yeah, the wood, all those like oaky vanilla flavors you get from the wood, they just don't go well with the raspberry, but it goes great with a very grassy, unaged spirit like tequila, or like a rum agricole, an unaged rum, or like just unaged corn whiskey.
All right. So anybody that wanted the update from last month, there you go, and make sure you go grab the book. And you said there was the most popular 10 recipes in that book.
There's the 8 to 10.
8 to 10.
Some historical, some other people's recipes. There's one in there. I call it the Jose Raffignaco, which is made from tequila, which is the way I would recommend you make Raffignacs, at least here in the 21st century.
What kind of tequila are you using?
Just any rot gut white tequila. It doesn't really matter.
Oh yeah, so like Hornitos or
Yeah,
whatever.
the point of the Raffignac and all that sugar and raspberry is to cover the flavor of the whiskey or the liquor, not to like accentuate it. So
Oh.
it's great with a bottom shelf tequila.
Did you know that there was a KCBS Hall of Fame?
I think I knew it once you asked about it, and I Googled it, but no, not until then.
All right. So let's get into the topic here tonight. I was just wondering if that was on your radar or not. So it's about what I thought.
No, I was not consulted on that. I just sort of, I guess it happened.
Yeah. Exploring the competitive spirit and iconic figures in Southern barbecue history, which could also include barbecue competitors and stories of just legendary pitmasters and how these rivalries and personalities have shaped whatever the perception of Southern barbecue is. So however you want to start down the trail, and then we can start to break it down from there.
Well, I sort of thought going into this, I'd talk about this barbecue competitions in general and sort of the history of barbecue competitions, which I think is pretty interesting. Of course, that has been a huge influence on the barbecue world, the last couple decades. And, so the question is, when did, and barbecue is always such a competitive thing, right? Everyone has the world's greatest barbecue, et cetera. So when did barbecue contests really become a thing? And so I did look into this a while back and sort of a bit of it in my barbecue history book, but most of it I did after that book was written. Just trying to nail down, when did people start having what you might really call a barbecue competition, which I think in and of itself is an interesting question. The earliest one I can trace, and actually I didn't trace it, J.C. Reed of the Houston Chronicle turned this one up. 1870 in Gilroy, California.
Wow.
There was a barbecue contest between, this is the earliest one he's found, and obviously the earliest one I've found. There was a competition between a bunch of goat farmers and sheep farmers over which animal made the better barbecue. Was it the sheep or the ghost or the goats? And they got together this big competition, and they divided up, and they the sheep farmers cooked their sheep, the goat farmers cooked their goats. Bunch of people ate them. I think they had 12 judges, and this is telling. The verdict 8-4 went to the goats. So goat in 1870 was judged the superior barbecue meat.
Wow.
And that's really the first kind of cook-off for barbecue competition that I've been able to find. And you really don't see a whole lot up until World War II. There's a couple I've been able to turn up in the early 19th century. Usually it's a head-to-head competition. Usually one of these competitions for pride between like the local, one local barbecue guy and the guy are feuding over who's the best barbecue. So a little cook off. There was one I thought was interesting in the 1920s. It was held in Waco, but it was between barbecue cooks from Waco and barbecue cooks from Dallas. Sort of having this cook off. Now these cooks, unfortunately, were not named in the article, but they're apparently the best cooks in the two cities came together. It was sort of a benefit for a rescue home in Waco, and so they cooked their barbecue and compared it. Probably tellingly, the competition ended in a tie, because who's going to pick the winner when it's all for charity and all good fun. And so you see a few things. You see some Boy Scout troops having barbecue competitions, but up until the 1950s, at least, barbecue, competitive barbecue was not a thing. It was something you did for big outdoor gatherings. It was something you did at restaurants, but it wasn't really a thing that people got together and competed for trophies for.
I didn't realize that there were barbecue competitions prior to 1982 or 1985 or whenever Gary and Carolyn Wells decided to put the KCBS together and get it rolling. Yeah,
a little bit earlier. In fact, those competitions were led of KCBS. And so if you really want to look at the, how we got barbecue competitions, after World War II, so 1950s, you actually see a lot of chicken barbecue competitions, chicken barbecue cook-offs, if you will. There were big events at county fairs, state fairs, that kind of thing. But these were actually organized primarily by the state, whatever the ag commission was in the state, or in the county, all the farm organizations, because this was at the time the American broiler industry was sort of getting started. Before World War II, chicken was a very expensive, rare meat. It became the meat after World War II as they developed these fast-growing broiler chicken as a whole in there. But as part of the ag programs, all these, the State Department of Agriculture in each state was trying to promote the use of chicken. So they had all these chicken cooking contests. And if you think about, if you ever heard of Cornell chicken, which came out of Cornell University, that actually, the guy who came up with that, Robert Baker, was a professor at Cornell in their agriculture department, and he was actually cooked lots of chickens for the New York State Fair. And they started hosting all these competitions, and they sort of spread across the country. There was a national barbecue chicken cook-off held in Maryland every year, starting in the 1950s, running through the 1960s, and it was all these sort of half-split chickens cooked over charcoal on these big grills. And so that was sort of a big thing in the 50s. And then for whatever reason, I'm not exactly sure why, in the 1960s, cooking competitions of all sorts just took off. There are all sorts of there's chili competitions, there's sandwich competitions, there's all kinds of grilling competitions. I wrote a whole long article about the Kaiser aluminum foil company back before Reynolds Wrap. Or actually, Reynolds was one of the aluminum foil companies. Kaiser was another big aluminum foil company. They sponsored this cooking competition where the only rule was you had to cook on a grill and you had to use Kaiser aluminum foil somehow in your prep. But it actually was in Honolulu, Hawaii. They would fly the competitors to Hawaii. They had to enter through all these local competitions, and they would compete. And you had all these cook-offs in the 90s that were really taking off. Including the world's chili con carne cook-off in Terlinga, Texas, which is still going on today. Tens of thousands of people will sort of convene in Terlinga to cook off chili. That actually led to the very first barbecue competition, at least the very first one that I know of, which was in Uvalde, Texas. It was part of the sort of annual festival, civic festival that Uvalde had. And so in 1972, they staged the World Championship Cow Country Barbecue Cook-Off. And it was actually sort of modeled after the chili competitions. And they, invited people to come cook barbecue. These were amateur teams. I think the first winner was the Brazos Barristers. So a bunch of lawyers from somewhere down in Texas got together and won the first cook-off. And there was another one the next year in Covington, Tennessee, which is still sort of around today, 1973. 1978, Memphis in May, also modeled after chili cook-offs. That was sort of the founders had originally staged some chili cook-offs. So 78 was Memphis in May. 1980, the American Royal added a barbecue competition to their livestock and rodeo. Wow. And so you sort of have these coming along. In 1986 was KCBS. That's when they were founded. And the whole idea there was there weren't any competitions other than American Royal and Memphis in May and the one down in Uvalde. So they sort of got together and started staging these cook-offs so they could sort of keep their hand in. That led to them unintentionally becoming a sanctioning body because other people who wanted to have a barbecue competition called up Carolyn and Gary Wells and said, hey, can you give us your rules? Can you sanction our competition? And so then they became the KCBS with the rules, and that one thing led to another. In 1989, the first Jack Daniels competition, and then really the 90s was when the competition world just took off and grew into what we know it today.
Are you surprised from a KCBS side of things, knowing where it started, how it started, and then, let's leave out the last handful of years because it's kind of been a train wreck. But previous to that, especially when you see Barbecue Pitmasters on TV, were you surprised from a 1986 to, let's say, 2015 that there was that much growth in something that was probably put together in a, hey, we're going to make this. It's just kind of for us folks here in Kansas City. And then all of a sudden it's a worldwide sanctioning body and a big one.
Yeah, I think it's surprising, but also sort of, I think it's not by accident. It sort of follows alongside lots of other things that are happening in the barbecue world. In the barbecue book, I do designate 1982 as the low point of American barbecue, and that was the year that McDonald's introduced the McRib. And if you read the book, you'll know that McDonald's actually got started as a barbecue restaurant
82.
with an actual. 1982 is when they introduced the McRib. They had discontinued barbecue back in the 50s. Actually, in 1948, they started as a barbecue restaurant. But that was sort of like the low point. Barbecue restaurants were dying out. Wood was super expensive. Nobody's kids wanted to continue on in the barbecue business. The fast food restaurants were coming along. One by one, barbecue was starting to disappear. And it's about that time that you started having these barbecue competitions and cook-offs, because what was happening is, as American barbecue was sort of fading, began to sort of realize, this thing we took for granted is actually sort of special, and they started wanting to cook it and get together. And the first couple of decades, like Carolyn Wells will always, actually I think it was, Carolyn Wells will talk about how it was not a family atmosphere per se, the early barbecue joints. Calvin Trillin called it the party as a verb crowd in the 80s and 90s. But that began to change, as the competition cooks got a little older, they started bringing their kids along, and then eventually their grandkids kind of stuff. But it was really this re-embracing of barbecue, a new appreciation of cooking in that style, something that was largely lost. And I think people enjoy doing it. They built a sense of community out of it. And if you talk to anybody who's involved deeply in traveling around with the competition circuit, especially in the early years, it was that family feeling, that sort of feeling of community that helped drive it. So I do think, it's not an accident that in the 90s and then into the 2000s, barbecue competitions came up and surged alongside the interest in barbecue restaurants, leading into the craft barbecue movement, leading into people writing books about barbecue, et cetera, which they really hadn't done until the 90s. And here we are today.
Okay, I'm going to put you on the spot because somebody's putting me on the spot. Ed Riley from Facebook is writing in, hey guys, do you know when the Big Pig Jig in Georgia started? Any idea on when that one? I
do not know. It's not in my list of early barbecue competitions, though it's been around for quite a long time, and it has one of the best names for any barbecue competition, so I remember it well. But no, I don't know exactly when the Big Pig Jig got started.
If you peruse legendary pitmasters or competition pitmasters, are there 2, 3, 4, or 5 that stick out to you as the essence of Southern style barbecue and that have kind of helped shape this whole barbecue industry?
Well, there's so many, and if you get somebody like Amy Mills or Ray Lampion, who were there for the early days, they'll talk a lot about it. The ones who really stick in my mind are the folks who made a big name in the competition circuit, but then crossed over somehow into a different area, be it media, be it running restaurants, be it merchandise, often all of those things. Like someone like a Paul Kirk, who wrote a lot of books. Obviously, Myron Mixon sort of leveraged his success in the competition circuit to being a sort of TV celebrity. I think of Chris Lilly from Big Bob Gibson, who really has merged the restaurant and the competition. Amy Mills and her father Mike were super influential in that same way. They helped not just found their own restaurants, but helped launch restaurants across the country coming out of that barbecue tradition. I mean, Tuffy Stone, Melissa Cookson, Leanne Whippen, a lot of those folks who've sort of done multiple facets of their career, got their start in the competition scene, and then really made an impact and helped not just, they didn't just take home a bunch of trophies. They helped influence the larger barbecue culture through restaurants, through books, through TV, through, bringing a lot more people on board.
Anything that you're working on over the next 30 days we should be keeping an eye out for?
I'm working on a lot. It's a lot of print stuff for Southern Living, which means it won't come out until well into the 2025. So I'll promote all that later. So now I'm busy with a bunch of stuff, but I'm trying to think. I don't think anything's going to hit the print or the interwebs or anything like that in the next month or two.
All right. Well, the good news is you will be back in November. We have other stuff to talk about. I always appreciate you showing up and giving great content to the Centralites, and we'll see you again next month.
All right. Sure thing. Thanks, Greg.
Robert Moss right there, robertfmoss.com, his website, if you would like to check him out. And showing up like the pro that he is, we are ticking over top of the hour. We'll wrap the show's first hour in just one moment. Let's talk about Primo Grills right now, though. So it's a ceramic cooker. It's a fuel miser. Once it gets up to temperature, it uses very little fuel. You can, in the summertime, you can cook over 24 hours, especially if you're using a nice draft fan of some sort. Probably get well over 24 hours on a load of charcoal. Really nice, humid cooking environment because of the ceramics. It's the only American-made ceramic cooker on the market. It's really the only one that can stand up to the kiln that Primo uses to fire these cookers. If you go to their factory, they put all the other competitors into the same kiln. They also put a Primo in there, fire it up. Everything else either breaks or melts. It's kind of a sight to behold. Only sold through dealers, so you have to go to a dealer to see one and buy one. You can find a dealer near you by visiting primogrill.com and checking out their dealer network. All the accessories that you want, with plenty more to come here in 2025. We'll try and get Nick Bauer back on the show to talk about that a little bit. And of course, it's the game-changing oval design that makes it highly unique. The real ability to do true two-zone cooking that you can't do in round cookers because, well, they're round. Again, only sold through dealers. PrimoGrill.com. Follow them on Facebook and Instagram and everywhere else on the social. We're back to wrap the first hour right after this. Stick around. Be right back.
You're listening to the Barbecue Central Show. Continuing to produce incredibly mediocre content in an exceptionally professional way. You're listening and watching the Barbecue Central Show. Once again, here's your host, Greg Rempe.
I want to thank Robert Moss for joining us last segment, talking about the competitive spirit and iconic figures in Southern barbecue history. Legendary pitmasters, barbecue competition history, all that fun stuff. We got more competition barbecue stuff to talk about before the show is over. RobertFMoss.com, his website. Ed Riley following up on his own question. I saw on their website the Big Pig Jig started in 1982, which is the downfall of barbecue in America, according to Robert Moss, as he just mentioned. Trolling through the comments here real quick, see if there was anything worth reading. All right, we're quickly over, so let's go ahead and get out of here. Point to the second hour. Get a poll question of the week update, and we'll go from there. You're listening and watching the Barbecue Central Show right here on the Barbecue Central Network.